Now, I am moving on to the next area, that is TDS and TCS under GST. So, we have the concept of TDS and TCS under GST. What is this TDS and TCS? So, TDS, we have, both will work in the same manner. So, not like income tax TCS. TCS under GST will also work like TDS only. Okay. So, I am making supply to notified recipient, supply of goods or services to notified recipient. Then TDS is applicable. So, I am supplying goods or service to notified recipient. Section is 51 for TDS, 52 is for TCS. So, I am a person. I am making supply of goods or services to a notified recipient. Who is the notified recipient? So, government, central government, state government, union territory, local authority. So, central government, state government, union territory, local authority is taken as notified recipients. Then government agency. Government agency means, so sometimes like agents are appointed by the government. Example, say for conducting the COVID test, government may recruit some people as agencies to conduct the COVID test, or for the purpose of getting the population census, they may appoint some agents like that. These people will be working for government as agents, so they are called as government agencies. So including ration shops which will be engaged in public distribution is also coming under government agencies. Then public sector undertakings, then government body where equity participation of the government is greater than or equals to 51%. 51, not 50, 51%. So these four will be coming under notified recipient. Central government, state government, union territory, local authority. Number 2, government agency. Number 3, what we have is public sector undertaking. Number 4, government body where equity participation by the government is greater than 51%. So in that case, liability to pay GST is on, us only. But the person, the notified recipient, when they are making payment to us, they will be deducting 2% TDS and they will be remitting it in our name, and we can take it as credit in the cash ledger, not credit ledger. We can take it as credit in the cash ledger and use it for payment of our GST liability. Just like regular TDS, what will happen? The same way here that will be applicable. And next one, so what will be the notified rate? It is 2%. So if it is interstate supply, so 1% intrastate supply, 1% CGST, 1% is GST. If it is interstate supply, 2% towards IGST. And non-applicability. So in these cases, TDS is not applicable. What is that? Number 1, supplier is unregistered naturally, because the supplier cannot take credit of the TDS deducted. So when supplier is unregistered, TDS is not applicable. Supplies are exempted or non-taxable, because whenever there is no GST, the main logic of TDS is that to find the supplier, to catch the supplier. But so when that supply itself is non-taxable or exempted, then what is the need of having something called as TDS? And then contract value does not exceed 2,50,000. Very, very important. It's not the payment received. It is a value of supply under a contract. Value of supply under a contract does not exceed 2,50,000. Value of supply under a contract does not exceed 2,50,000, which means that, so the total contract is for a period of say 8 months or 1 year, and the total value of supplies under the contract is say more than 2,50,000, but this month we received only 50,000, so TDS will be applicable because we need to see the contract value. And supplies between notified recipients, so in the sense like 4 notified recipients we have seen, so between them if there is any supply, then TDS is not applicable. And whenever recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM, because the liability to pay GST is on recipient himself, so therefore TDS no point, because only to find the supplier who is liable to pay tax. No need to find the supplier who is liable to pay tax in this case when recipient is only paying tax under RCM. Then location of recipient and place of supply is not in the same state. What is this? So this will arise in a situation where it's not intrastate or interstate, it's not that classification here. So we need to understand as to what is this situation that we are referring to. So see this serial number. So we will take activity and we will take location of supplier, location of recipient, place of supply, nature of supply, and TDS applicability. Okay, so we are discussing now these things. location of supplier, location of recipient, place of supply, nature of supply, and TDS. So number 1, let's take an activity. That activity is supply of goods by X in Maharashtra to government of Maharashtra. So location of supplier is Maharashtra, location of recipient Maharashtra, place of supply we should take ending point of the goods. So ending point of the goods is Maharashtra. So then nature of the supply, intra-state supply it is. So in that case, what will be the taxes? CGST plus Maharashtra SGST. So whether TDS is applicable, definitely TDS is applicable, and in that case 1% towards CGST and 1% towards Maharashtra SGST. Okay. Whereas suppose if it is interstate supply, let's take that example, that is software development services by X in Karnataka to government of Tamil Nadu. In this case, what is taken as the location of supplier? Location of supplier will be taken as, Karnataka, and location of recipient will be taken as Tamil Nadu. And what will be the place of supply? Location of recipient, because in case of software development services, location of recipient will be taken as the place of supply. And the nature of supply is interstate supply. Why? Because location of supplier in one state and place of supply in the other state, therefore it is interstate supply, and IGST is applicable in this case. And what will be the TDS? Whether TDS is applicable? Yes, TDS is applicable, and it will be 2% towards IGST. So IGST 2% payable. So therefore in this case also TDS is applicable. So then which case, sir, TDS is not applicable? So TDS is not applicable if it is an intrastate supply but the recipient is in the other state than the place of supply. For example, say this: architect services by X in Andhra Pradesh to government of Tamil Nadu with respect to a building in Andhra Pradesh. So definitely Tamil Nadu government may have a building in Andhra Pradesh. So whenever Tamil Nadu government is having a building in Andhra Pradesh, for that when architect services are provided, now in this case the location of supplier will be Andhra Pradesh, location of recipient will be Tamil Nadu, but the place of supply is location where the immobile property is situated. Place of supply is location of immobile property. The location of immobile property is in Andhra Pradesh. And what is the nature of supply? It is intrastate supply. Why it is intrastate supply? Because location of supplier and place of supply is in the same state. And what will be the taxes that will be applicable? CGST plus APSGST. But how government of Tamil Nadu, which is not registered in Andhra Pradesh, can deduct the TDS towards APSGST? Not possible. Andhra Pradesh SGST, they cannot deduct TDS. So therefore TDS is not applicable. So TDS is not applicable in this case. So which means that when location of supplier and place of supply in the same state and recipient is in a different state, supplier and place of supply in the same state but recipient in a different state, TDS is not applicable. It's a very, very important area, can be tested in exam. Okay. So clear? So this is with respect to this TDS non-applicability. TDS non-applicability is important from exam point of view for short note. Then computation and compliance. TDS is computed on the value of supply excluding GST. So whenever the payments are made by the notified recipient to the supplier, on that payments, so TDS will be computed. And contract value just for checking the applicability of TDS, and TDS deducted shall be payable to government in GSTR 7 by 10th of the month following every month. So 10th is the due date for payment of TDS along with a return that is called as GSTR 7. And a certificate in GSTR 7A shall be issued to the supplier within 5 days from the date of deposit of TDS, and that is not applicable at present. So this is not applicable at present. So therefore at present the certificate relaxation is there. So GSTR 7A, like that one certificate was there previously, that is now omitted. This is not applicable. Then next, compliance. So TDS, if I am not paying, what will happen? For delay in filing a return, for delay in filing return, I have to pay a late fee, 100 rupees per day, subject to a maximum of 5,000 under each act. For delay in filing GSTR 7. Plus, for delay in payment of TDS, I need to pay interest at the rate of 18% per annum. Okay. So, this is common for both TDS and TCS. Interest at the rate of 18% per annum for delay in payment of TDS or TCS. And whether a TDS operator is required to file any annual return? No, they are not required to file. Plus, is there any general penalty for non-payment of TDS or TCS on time? Yes, there is a general penalty of up to 25,000 under each act. And there is some other specific penalty also, that is TDS or TCS default, the penalty will be 10,000 rupees or 100% of the TDS or TCS not paid, whichever is higher. This under each act. This is a specific penalty related to that. So any other default, that is apart from non-payment of TDS, TCS, any other default general penalty, non-payment of TDS or TCS, that will be leading to this specific penalty of 10,000 rupees or 100% of the tax, that is TDS, TCS, whichever is higher. So this is the penalties in case of TDS. Now in case of TCS, let's see. Now when we are discussing TCS, let's have a comparison and then discuss. So TCS is applicable under section 52 of CGST Act. So when it is applicable, whenever the supplies are made through e-commerce operator, then TCS will be applicable. Okay, supplies through e-commerce operator, liability to pay GST is on the e-commerce operator, TCS not applicable. Liability is not on the e-commerce operator, on the supplier. Then the e-commerce operator, while remitting the amount to the supplier, will be deducting 1% towards the TCS, not 2%, 1%. And supplier should be different from e-commerce operator, and that e-commerce operator should not be a mere agent. Means that e-commerce operator should not be a payment gateway or a operator, logistics operator. They should be really undertaking the responsibility of supply. For example, whenever you buy a product and you did not like the product, whom will you blame? Flipkart or Amazon you will blame, but not the supplier. So that is what I mean to say as a e-commerce operator. Suppose if you purchase something and for which the payment is made through Paytm, and if you did not like the product, you will never ask the Paytm, because Paytm is just a payment gateway. Okay, so supply should be through e-commerce operator for TCS. And then what is the rate? 1%. There it is 2%, here it is 1%. Non-applicability. Supplier is unregistered. Same. So because whatever e-commerce operator pays TCS, the supplier should be in a position to take the credit. When the supplier is unregistered, he cannot take the credit due to that reason. And second also same, supplies are exempted or non-taxable. When there is no tax at all on the transaction, then what is the need of TCS? And notified service, this already we discussed. Whenever notified service is there, entire liability is on e-commerce operator. What's the point in making the supplier to pay any GST? So TCS is not applicable. And payment is not collected by e-commerce operator. This point is not there over there. So that is e-commerce operator is not collecting the amount is directly paid to the supplier. So in that case, liability to pay GST will be on the supplier, but the money is not with the e-commerce operator. So e-commerce operator cannot pay GST out, cannot pay TCS out of their pocket. So due to that reason, it is not applicable in that case. And then payment. What is the value on which TCS is computed? TCS is computed on the payment towards contract value, excluding GST. So whatever is the contract, like whatever is the payment that is received excluding GST minus returns. So for example, so we are selling some amount, we are selling some goods. So value of the supply minus whatever is the returns during that particular month. So we sold a product in the last month that got returned during the current month. So on that we need to compute TCS, and TCS is payable at the rate of 1% by 10th of the month following every month, just like TDS, but the return will be different. GSTR 8, TDS is GSTR 7, here TCS is GSTR 8. And there is nothing like that called certificate, and the late fee is same, 100 rupees per day for every day delay, and they are required to file an annual return. TDS deductor is not required to file an annual return, but TCS operator is required to file an annual return by GSTR 9B by 31st December of the succeeding financial year. And rest of the points whatever we have discussed for TDS, the same thing will be applicable for TCS also. So with this we completed TCS, and I am just giving you one illustration to understand on TCS. So there is a supplier called as MI Mobiles, and there is a e-commerce operator Flipkart, and there is a buyer. So now MI Mobiles enters into a contract with Flipkart to sell a mobile at say 10,000 rupees 10,000 rupees is the price of the mobile plus GST 28%. So therefore 12,800 is the price of the mobile, and they get a commission of 1,000 rupees plus GST 18%. So 1,180 they will get as a commission. Who will get? Flipkart will get. So that is a contract. And point number 2, buyer places the order with the Flipkart and the supplier delivers the product to Flipkart and with invoice. So this product will be delivered by Flipkart to the buyer. Point number 4. Now point number 5, buyer will be making a payment of 12,800 rupees to the e-commerce operator. Now e-commerce operator will remit that amount to supplier, but how much amount will be remitted by e-commerce operator to the supplier? 12,800 minus 1,180. So their commission part they will deduct, and TCS also they will deduct. How much TCS? 1% on what value? What is the value here? 10,000 or 12,800? Value excludes GST. So that is 10,000. 10,000 into 1%, 100 rupees they will deduct. So 12,800 minus 1,180. Their commission plus GST on commission minus 100 rupees TCS. Now they will pay to government 180 and 100 rupees. 180 they will pay as GST, 100 rupees they will pay as TCS. Now the supplier will pay GST on 10,000, that is 2,800 rupees they will pay, but the supplier will get 2 credits. What are the 2 credits supplier will get? 180 rupees they will get credit of input tax credit of GST paid on inward supply of Flipkart, plus 100 rupees they will get TCS credit. So TCS credit is received in their electronic cash ledger. This 100 rupees and 180 rupees, 280 rupees can be used for payment of 2,800 rupees. Okay. So this is how that GST is payable. Here gross GST payable is 2,800, but the net will be, so after deducting that ITC credit of 180 and TCS credit of 100 rupees. So this is with respect to TDS and TCS. Now friends, so let's proceed to some illustrations based on this. Meanwhile, like case studies based on this, because the next chapter for us is value of supply, so that we will see after completion of the question and answers related to this. And meanwhile, whatever doubts that you have, you can just put. What is the difference between business facilitator and business correspondent? Business facilitator, business correspondent, both will be doing business of the bank in an area where the bank is not having a branch. So banks will not have branch across the country, so they will be appointing some people called as business correspondent and business facilitator. Business correspondent will have lots and lots of responsibility, not only with respect to carrying out the operations of the bank, but also loan recovery, etc. So all the functions which a branch manager will do, that a business correspondent will do. But business facilitators will just bring the business to the bank by account application opening or loan processing application, like that. They'll only do marketing for the bank, so they get the commission. But business correspondents will be getting lot of time, lot of activities that they will do. So that is the simple difference between business correspondent and business facilitator. Correspondent will have a responsibility, but facilitator, it's like if you bring business, you will earn commission, otherwise no. Like that business facilitator, okay. So that is the difference.